You know, I don't think I've ever done a movie review on here before, and I don't think I often should, but they are occasionally relevant to video games, and this is one of those interesting exceptions. Which is why I decided to shake things up a bit from the usual format and make a bit of a warm, affectionate homage out of this one. Those of you who have been with Bunny Hop since day one get to see it go full circle.
Super Bunny Hop. Fuck video games.
Hello and welcome to Bunny Hop. My name is George Weedman and I'm reviewing movies for the first time today, which is something I'm not usually going to do and something that I don't know a lot about and something I'm not very well equipped to do, which is why I have friends. First up is Joel, who's done work on Super Bunny Hop before.
That's right, George.
That's right, Joel. And next up is Matt Visual, a fellow YouTuber who I like, who you've probably heard a lot of on the podcast.
That he loves.
We play Dive Kick together and have...
Oh, let's not talk about Dive Kick.
Let's talk about The Angry Video Game Nerd, the movie. What did you guys think of The Angry Video Game Nerd, the movie?
I thought going into the movie thinking that it's a YouTuber trying to make a movie, with a budget. I thought it was okay. There were some very slow parts. It started off very strong and then it started getting a little slow for me. Like, I don't know, 50% in the movie, started getting really slow. It seems like it doesn't know what exactly it is. It's like, is it trying to be over the top? Or is it trying to be just a little bit serious? Because they did hire some big name actors. Well, not some big name actors.
There were like a couple.
A few. Yeah. I enjoyed the movie knowing that it was that Angry Video Game Nerd. If it was a movie that had no association for the nerd, then I probably would have just forgot about it, to be honest.
I thought it was okay. But I don't necessarily, want to think it's okay. Because I'm fully aware that it's awful. But I had my expectations in a kind of certain place where I was prepared for it to be awful, even from the perspective of someone who had their expectations in this place. It's more interesting to think about than it actually is to watch in front of your face, because it's this, weird cyberpunk cultural artifact. Liking bad games that are deliberately made bad, which an actual
Ghost Simulator,
yeah, Ghost Simulator
Air Control.
is a thing, and people get their kicks out of it partly because of internet celebrities, making them look funnier and funner than they actually are, which is his internal conflict in the first 30 minutes. Maybe I'm giving it too much credit. What did you think, Joel? The Angry Video Game Nerd, the movie.
Okay, well, let me just say that I have not seen all of the Angry Video Game Nerd.
I think that makes a difference.
It does make a
huge difference.
I really hated this movie.
Yeah, you did.
Won't shut up about it. But
oh god,
the way I see it is it's an interesting thing, like you said, that came out of the internet. But to me, it feels very out of date. It feels like these people it feels like a found movie from the early 2000s, late 90s, of these stoner comedy movies where you see these really lowest common denominator jokes thrown into just
racist,
racist, sexist, of people falling down, and it doesn't hit any of the right notes, and it has a very weird understanding of gamer culture to a point which I was like, well, I thought Angry Video Game Nerd was a part of gamer culture, and he should know better.
Yeah, it is a part of gamer culture, and that's why I'm here making this really silly review today, because this review is also kind of referential of internet culture. In a way, the Angry Video Game Nerd himself, not the character in the fictional reality, has created a market of other people to come online and make kind of less creative, less sincere attempts at the same thing, kind of uncreative hacks to go around and steal other people's ideas.
it seemed like he was trying to make a bad movie intentionally. Like we discussed this earlier, that making a bad movie intentionally can hit good notes, but it doesn't really hit the same notes as someone who's trying to make a good movie but just turned out bad.
And I feel like that's kind of the reason why I didn't want to do this video by myself, is that I have seen every Angry Video Game Nerd review, and I haven't necessarily seen it because I've like genuinely thoroughly enjoyed them. I think it was kind of around like a few years ago when he did some Bugs Bunny game. There was like a 2-minute skit where him and a guy in a Bugs Bunny costume were punching each other for like 2 minutes, and I actually wrote him mail about it. I was like, that was the part where I started to like not enjoy them as much. And so it's incredibly ironic that now I sat through a 90-minute skit of the Angry Video Game Nerd 3 times for the sake of review.
Yes.
And I thought it was okay. And I think the only reason I think that is because I'm aware of the shtick. I'm fully invested in it. I've seen all of the shtick, and I get the references, and I get the style of humor, and that kind of softens the blow because I know it's bad. I know it's bad.
What's funny is that these skits on the shows, on the online shows, like the Angry Video Game Nerd, the 2-minute skit would be leading into a review. So hypothetically, this movie is a 90-minute skit leading into a review in the credits.
Yeah, that's a spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't seen it. The whole movie is a setup for him to review E.T., which the joke is that it's a game so bad he would never review it, which doesn't really make sense.
No.
If it's bad, then
and going
you
into
should
that
review it.
whole out-of-date thing of how they actually did find the E.T. game landfill, what was it, like a few months ago?
A couple,
yeah,
maybe more like 4
so
or 5.
This coming out just after that and being like, oh, where could it be? You know, the landfill. That's the part of the big mystery in the movie. Like it felt like it was made early 2000s, post 9/11, kind of really crappy humor. Like, dude, where's my car? Old school, all that.
I've been told to avoid those movies like the plague. I have not seen a lot of movies.
I feel like that's where Angry Video Game Nerd should be.
Right, the humor, like with the black dude. The black dude, which is basically the comic relief. You know, the one that makes all the crazy jokes and... yeah, I'll leave that for the movie. But he is actually from Bernie Mac. He was Jordan.
Wait, the Bernie Mac
from the
show?
Bernie Mac show. Jordan, the little kid, that's him.
Is he like...
yeah, you see? There it is.
Does he play a nerd?
Like, it just hits you. I was like, oh my god, that's the little
Bernie
kid.
Mac's son.
Yes. And I was just like,
oh my god.
no.
Oh
How
my god.
Does he play a nerd in that show? Is it Bernie Mac show? Does he play like the nerd character?
No,
those sitcoms always have like those nerdy.
He was like the daughter. Was it the daughter's son?
I think I saw a couple episodes of Bernie Mac in my time, and I don't remember him being particularly nerdy.
He was just very like a wimpy kid.
Oh,
he played the same person in this movie.
Speaking of actors, there was a lot of weird shots in this movie where it kind of hangs on extras in the crowd for a while, and everyone in the crowd has a distinct kind of get up and personality. It feels like they were either fans or backers. But I looked at the Indiegogo page, and apparently being an extra in this movie was not one of their stretch goals, but I'm guessing he did round up fans for this stuff, because they're like shots of fans and of crowds that go on forever and ever and ever.
Well, in part, that's kind of what his movie's about, is his love for his fans. And then like that's a running theme through the movie, is that he's like basically talking to his friend about the fans shouldn't like this game because it's crap. I don't really know what the point of the movie was.
The moral of the story.
It starts off when he goes to
he's very venomous to his fans at times. Right. Like during the dream sequence, he makes up for it later, but they're represented as zombies chasing after.
Bear McCreary.
Yeah, Bear McCreary is included.
Yeah,
Bear McCreary is a very well-known composer to some people because he did the music for the Battlestar Galactica reboot. And he's a legitimate person, so it makes me wonder how many connections James Rolfe has.
But I guess, like you were saying earlier, bad movies that are genuinely bad and bad movies that are enjoyably bad are the line in which is drawn is how good they intended to be from the first place. In this movie, and a lot of trauma movies, which I guess is part of the reason why I can't enjoy them as much, is because they were originally intended to be bad. Like, rather than Samurai Cop, or
Troll 2,
or Troll 2, like those classic The Room. Those movies wanted to be
something special.
yeah, but they ended up not being, and the people who were involved tried their hardest still to make it something special, and that's kind of why I feel conflicted about this, is because James Rolfe, like, very clearly, he said this so many times that he wants to make a movie. This was his childhood dream, and in a way he has, but it also kind of feels like he's developed his skills over the years making the Angry Nerd, and he also raised a lot of money on Kickstarter. It seems still, even though the effort has been made and the movie has been made, that it still kind of flies under par of what, maybe not necessarily his fans, but what the rest of the world would consider good.
Well, yeah, that's part of when I came into it. You know, I, as a non-fan, you know, I approached this movie as it being a standalone movie, and I think you were saying earlier that you can't look at this as a standalone movie. You have
like,
to
I
look
was
at it as a
seeing
fan.
references everywhere.
But is that something you should strive for
No.
when making a major motion picture?
But this is a major motion picture. It's not a major motion picture.
Well,
it was like a
It was
little...
in limited theaters, and now it's on Vimeo.
It had a national
for
tour. It was in Atlanta.
Oh.
I wanted to see it, but it sold out on the first day. But it's not a movie for the mainstream. Like, it was very much made for the fans. And in a way, that makes me feel kind of bad when I was like hearing how much of a bad time you were having watching with us. I was like, it's not for you.
I will say my first viewing was a lot different than my second viewing. First viewing was me alone in my computer.
I don't think you could watch this movie
and
like
I was
that.
angry.
No.
You gotta watch it with friends.
Yeah. The first time I saw it with friends. The second time I saw it actually alone on my computer, but I also had it in a little window with the rest of my day and other windows around it. I had 2 beers in me.
It's good background noise.
It was much more enjoyable with 2 beers in me, and it was much more enjoyable with fans. It's a 2-beer movie. I give this movie 2 beers.
2 beers.
I mean, there's this wonderful 30-minute almost musical montage in the end where just stupid starts happening, where he stops trying to make a plot about reviewing video games and switches modes to making a plot about a Godzilla robot destroying the city, and it is absolutely hilarious. I laughed my ass off at this incredibly gloriously dumb montage of him just slapping exploding toys together in his room.
It seems like he just ran out of budget. He's like, you know what? Let's just build the props and just use the little toys that he has in his little old toy box and just push them off.
That's the moment where the 2 beers start fizzing up. You start not caring about the plot. You start not caring about what's going on in your life, and you just laugh at bad special
Don't you think
effects.
that if the whole movie was just that, was just like out of control, because it seems in the very beginning that it was trying to be something more.
Yeah.
You know, he hired these actors. These actors have been on TV. Mm-hmm. You know, it's not like just some random
TV.
Yeah, they've been on TV. Yeah, you know, like it seems like it wanted to be something, and all of a sudden it just goes from like, oh, it's off the wall to like, just like poop stuck on the wall.
That's the thing, though. Like, are you supposed to be happy with the idea that the filmmaker lost control of his film towards the end and just went insane?
But I still laughed at it. Like, I still laughed at the bad, and I still got kicks out of it being bad. Like, we were having arguments over whether or not we thought jokes were intentional or not. That is how bad this movie is, and that is also the kind of frame of mind you have to be in to enjoy it. Is just laughing, rolling with the punches.
Characters will just be developed and then not developed.
Oh yeah,
it'll just go from here to
Plot
here to
points
here.
will start and then go nowhere.
Yeah,
There's,
that's exactly what this is. I mean, in the very beginning, like he throws out a cartridge out the window, and it ends up in the garbage, and the garbage just explodes, and you're like, okay, this is gonna be good.
That felt like Aqua Teen Hunger Force level of humor, and I've seen it before. Honestly, I've seen a lot of what I saw in Angry Video Game Nerd before, and it just didn't,
like the ragdoll effect.
It didn't feel creative, even with the toy parts. And like, I enjoyed the giant monster smashing the building around. That was fun. But even
all Power Rangers, stuff.
Even those parts didn't feel like there was creative influence before. It's like, hey, it'd be great if we got a bunch of toys and just smashed them. And it's just, I don't know. I didn't really get the giggles. I'm sure you did towards the end.
I got giggles, but like I said, I'm coming to it from a place.
I think it would have
not a lot
benefited
of
from a
people
shorter
will.
movie.
Oh,
Yeah,
definitely.
I think like that dead part once they get to like the scientist place, whatever.
And the scientist, he's an actor.
Yeah.
He was actually probably the best actor in this movie.
He was a real human being.
He wasn't not a robot.
No.
I've seen your videos. You are a frank and honest man.
Thanks? Question mark? But that wasn't an actor. To be fair, that was
A video game developer.
a video game developer from the 80s making a cameo. But whoever that actor was, I can't remember your name right now. I even looked it up ahead of time trying to.
This guy.
Whoever did Dr. Louis Zandor.
Yeah.
Yeah, you made good of what you were given here.
He did acting.
It seemed like he had a lot of fun. He was hamming the hell out of it as a crazy
a lot
old
of people
scientist.
were having fun.
Yeah.
That they had. Like the general was hamming it up.
But he was also entertaining to watch.
Yeah.
The general kind of broke the fourth wall to a certain General Dark onwards. Like they only say his name so many times. I forgive anyone who forgot this character's name, but he was just a little too much. And
Well, like I said,
Mrs. Butterworth, whatever her name was, the McButters. She was a little too much. Dr. Zandor.
She wasn't developed. She was just chopped up. Like someone literally edited her character. Like, you're gonna be this, and then you're gonna be this, and you're gonna be this. It seems like she was supposed to be a nicer character, and then all of a sudden she's like this mean character. She's like abusing the poor girl, the fake geek, so called.
Yeah, we were saying earlier that a bunch of characters like switch tones mid-movie. Like, General's very gung-ho, wants to kill everything in sight. No, America, you get out.
Mrs. Butterbear, she starts off as like the abused,
rational...
reluctant goon who you think is gonna get like rescued and turned over, but she ends up getting zoomed out and then faded out of a shot of like stock image of a fountain in New Vegas. And my absolute favorite thing about this movie is that in some shots you can see like JPEG still images for backgrounds. You could like look at Getty Images and see half this movie because the backgrounds are just stock still images. It's hilarious. I laughed.
I think I counted on my hands how many times I laughed.
Are you crazy? Do you have any clue where Area 51 even is?
Between Area 50 and 52?
The general flavor of the comedy in this movie, I thought, was in kind of a weird place. Like, I wanted there to be lots of jokes about how, like, pathetically kind of insulated and self-referential the entire ordeal was. And there were a few that I think are there, but I don't know if they were actually written as legit jokes. Like, that line, there's a line in the beginning where the nerd is sitting next to Cooper in the car together, and he says, "You want to be a nerd like me, you gotta make some sacrifices." And I laughed my ass off, and no one else did.
A lot of the jokes I felt had the punchline of just... That face.
Even the baby.
Or that face, So,
like, he does it.
That in itself...
But that's part of the shtick.
That in itself, is part of the shtick. And is meant for the angry video game nerd crowd. But it doesn't translate well to the general audience, which I guess I represent.
I think because it was oversaturated with it.
Yeah.
It's too much. Way too much, you know? Like, even though I like it, especially with the baby part, you know?
When everything in the movie is out of control and he's reacting every second to with that face, you're right, it gets oversaturated, it gets too much, and to a point where, it gets kind of stale.
There are quality jokes that I think were ruined by that face to a degree. Like later on when they're searching for Mandy, who snuck off of the ranch property, and they're trying to find her, and the nerd says, maybe she's just in the shower. And the guy checks the camera in the shower and sees she's not there. And they could have just rolled on. Like, it could have been a quick, quick hit and run jab.
Yeah.
But he ends up cutting to his face for like 3 seconds after. And it kind of, it's so hard to describe why it ruins it, but it kind of ruins it.
Like, I remember a few of the jokes that made me laugh. But the one I remember earlier on was when he's dreaming. And he the E.T. puppet crashes through the window and starts biting at him. Yeah. And then he wakes up from the other dream into another dream, Inception style, and he's like, "Oh, even my dreams are low budget." And then, that's the joke. And it had a lead in, it had to pay off, and everything was great, and they moved on. They didn't have to have him do the face or whatever. And I was like, okay, yeah. do more of that.
What do you think about Cooper? Like, when do you think that it's like it's funny to do that whole like, oh, I'm black type of joke? You know, like not a race thing, not a race thing. But I'm just saying, like, because it's funny, right? It's funny, but to like, did they do it right?
To be fair,
he even has a black mother.
They didn't do it much.
Get your ass inside! And all that time, like all that whole thing.
Yeah.
It was just his mother that served as I don't know. There might have been a few others.
There were
that missed
times,
me, but
there was the point where they were going into the whole. This scene was really weird, by the way. The whole flat Earth and
oh yeah,
Cooper's weird theories.
yeah.
And I was sitting there thinking, is this racist? Like that he believes all these weird, stupid things. And
He would have to deliver the
Yeah.
stupid stuff like
that was
that.
him. And then but like you said earlier, it was foreshadowing because the monster mentions that created
It's
God.
okay because it turns out he's right.
Yeah.
He kind of redeems himself and gets
But
the prize at
it's-
the end and stuff like that.
girl-
I don't want to say
partially,
spoilers.
it's partially so weird because a lot of the stuff regarding the flat Earth is actually irrelevant to the movie. Like he goes on this rampage about a robot monster with a satellite dish underneath Mount Fuji that turns out to be right, but they still spend like minutes of this movie talking about flat Earth, talking about a bologna sandwich that turn out to be nothing. That turn out to not be foreshadowing, that just turn out to be wasting our time.
That's a lot of like what this movie is. Like you said, it needed about 30 minutes trimmed off.
And,
Yeah,
and there's
it did.
so many scenes in this movie that are just so weird. Like during the road trip montage, especially like when they go in the back of the van and everyone's being quirky, playing video games, or why does the nerd have to play music on a vinyl record player instead of a radio? I guess it's supposed to be a joke. Was it a joke? I couldn't tell.
But it's a running joke because in the beginning he was using his like dial-up and everything.
Oh yeah, because he's old fashioned.
Are we spoiling like too much of the movie?
I mean,
I mean,
spoiler.
yeah, it's more.
Let's talk about what the hell happened with the female character.
Oh yeah, that's another character
one?
that breaks.
Well,
Mandy.
Mandy.
They seem to be going for a love interest with the nerd throughout like 75% of the movie, but then for like the last quarter of the movie, Cooper swoops in with her under his arms and gets the girl instead of the nerd, which doesn't seem like what they were building up to, especially with that scene in Xandor's house when they're playing on the power pad together.
Plus there's-
I thought that line, oh, don't use your hands. I thought that was funny.
Yeah. Cooper
that was
walks
a
in and
funny
gets that jealous look of his face
Yeah.
of either that he was jealous that he wasn't hanging with the nerd or he wanted some of the cat. So I don't know. Like it's weird and it's weird.
It's weird because it may be subtext. It may be a retelling of the Oedipal complex, where the, in many ways, homosexual love that Cooper feels for the nerd is something that he has to overcome as a childish person and develop into a heterosexual relationship with Mandy, in order to break free of the overprotectiveness that he feels from his mother, which is analogous to the overprotectiveness that the nerd feels for his fans.
And there's also the scene where towards the end, where he's like saying, "You're a man now." So Cooper is the one who gets an arc throughout this whole.
So really, it's not an angry video game nerd movie.
It's about the black wimpy kid. So it's not racist
No, not at all.
because he's the main character.
He has to overcome the white man overbearing on his love life and trying to take charge
And
over
he's like
his
a
life.
total white collar, like pin pusher looking dude too, who's all old school
Man. We are really talking out of our ass tonight.
Well, I want to ask this question.
Yes.
Okay.
In the movie, there was a ice cream shop called
Dingleberries, yeah.
Would you go
Dum-dum.
and try a little hot fudge sundae from Dingleberry? I'm pretty sure they'll have some really good chocolate chip
it's just
There's a
nuggets inside there.
he lives in a Grand Theft Auto parody world.
There's
where
a movie
everything's vulgar.
called Idiocracy where human race has devolved to a point where
yeah.
all these stupid franchises
I saw that
exist.
movie.
And apparently, I'm guessing the Angry Video Game Nerd movie takes place in this stupid ass universe.
Which, again, like I said, it's the real life turning into the Onion, because in real life, these really kind of lowbrow YouTube channels are
very
oh
omnipresent.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, are very omnipresent, very popular with the kids.
Yeah. Is Angry Video Game Nerd a part of it or
I don't
commenting
know.
on it?
I don't know, and that's I guess another thing that makes it feel weird. Which is also weird because in many ways it felt like a children's movie.
Yeah.
Just with lots of vulgarity.
Right.
Lots.
Yeah.
Lots.
Like
Look at those melons.
Yeah.
You should take note of that, Miss McButters.
It's like that American Pie style of late 90s, early 2000s kind of movie.
American Pie was funny.
It was funny when you were a kid.
I have been told
I don't know if it's funny now.
to avoid those movies like the plague, so I wouldn't know.
Okay.
I wouldn't know.
Going back to Mindy, her character goes off on a tangent at some point. She gets kidnapped by the military, and then it's just her and her Looney Tune adventures
Yeah,
throughout the...
the U.S. military is not a very intimidating force.
No,
in this
I
movie.
was like, why don't you just drone the nerd and get it
And then
over
that
with?
makes it like even more of
I am
this
the nerd.
weird alternate universe Grand Theft Auto world that they live in that just makes it so hard to suspend your disbelief and even laugh at stuff is when the military is represented by like two guys in a Humvee.
Yeah.
Like they have a staff of like
Little tank.
part-timer goons, and General Dark Onward is a microcosm of a lot of the lost potential that I feel this movie had, and that he is a funny character to look at and see in action in design and visuals only. But the fact that he is extremely thinly written kind of ruins a lot of the fun of him. Like, why does he have the little tank that rolls around? That's never explained. Seeing this bald military general guy with no arms rolling around.
I think, yeah,
His accidents. It's delivered that he has accidents,
Yeah.
and that's why.
For some reason, it is an appealing villain to look at with my face, but when everything that he says is just completely uninteresting, and when the plot that he's wrapped up in is so implausibly unbelievable even by like early 2000s stoner comedy standards, I just can't have as much fun with the villain as I would have in a literally any other setting.
With everything, what do you think he was going for? Like, I feel like I don't know what he was going for.
The character or like the director?
No, James. Yeah, I don't. What was he trying to go for with the movie?
It was for the fans. It's just not for the rest of us. This really is like for the fans. I think, anyways.
I guess so, but like I kind of looked at it as like he was trying to make also for the fans. He was also trying to make a parody of the whole B movie shtick kind of thing.
I think he was trying to be a part of the B movie shtick and contribute to it and make a B movie of his own, like what he's loved so much his whole life. And I guess that's kind of why Lloyd Kaufman made an appearance. Like, Lloyd Kaufman helped make an Angry Video Game Nerd review with him, where him and Lloyd Kaufman just sat on the couch playing the Toxic Avenger game and giggling at all the stupid stuff he was saying. And he's continuing in the traditions of such great shitty filmmakers as Lloyd Kaufman.
We were going to talk about how we thought a lot of the extras may or may not have been internet personalities.
It's hard to tell.
It's very hard to tell.
Angry Joe's in there somewhere. Did anyone?
I did not see him.
I did not see him.
I saw Black Nerd
Nostalgia
Comedy.
Critic.
Nostalgia. Yeah, he was having the time of his life. It looked like.
NES Pat.
I think Jew Wario is supposed to be there. The late and beloved Jew Wario.
Really?
Oreo?
Jew Wario. He was a game reviewer on YouTube a while back.
Oh, the sad story.
Yeah, the sad story. Who else?
Well, that's the thing. We don't really know.
Mike Matai. Well, obviously, because he's James's buddy in the
I
system.
feel like the movie needed more of that. Like, it needed more of his love of the internet to shine through with the special guests like Angry Joe, Nostalgia Critic, anyone that he could find.
And I feel like it might actually have been there this whole time and I didn't notice because they weren't recognizable enough, which completely invalidates my rant earlier about how the crowd shots went on way too long and everyone looked way too distinct. But I also didn't catch on as many of the cameos as I thought I would.
A lot of them are cast into shadows or in very weird outfits, like dressed like
For some reason, yeah, like the video game gamers in the desert are hippies for some reason. And there's a guy in the shop in the beginning of the movie who's dressed up as Indiana Jones for some reason. There's and you can't not look at these guys. Like it's like
E.T. conga line.
Yeah, they did an E.T. conga line, and it was shot like it was a backer benefit to pay past a certain tier to be able to be in the crowd shots of this movie, or like they had a casting call inside of the fan community to be in those crowd shots if they were near their location on that day. And but what does it add to the movie in the long run for those of us who don't know?
If it's for the fans, maybe it adds
am I a fan? Like I've seen all of them, but I haven't bought any merchandise. I said earlier, I laughed my ass off at them in high school, but I think I kind of grew out of it.
Would you tattoo yourself?
No.
How far?
Would you draw bad fan art?
No, and in the beginning of the movie, he has this incredibly long montage of fans who do that goes on and on and on, and I'm not, I don't feel it.
Feels a little...
Not feeling it.
Masturbatory.
Oh, come on.
Keep that in your pants, Joe.
Yeah.
Sorry.
that long, angry dick of yours. So, after all this enlightening discussion, would we recommend that you go out today and see The Angry Video Game Nerd, the movie?
And pay money for it?
Oh yeah,
on
$5 for a one-day rental.
24 hours specifically. It has to be down to the minute.
In the beginning, I didn't care that much because it was just like $5, whatever. But I kind of did feel the burn after the 24 hours went up. I was like, oh.
Especially when things like Redbox exist, where you can rent a movie for a day.
But those movies are like massively distributed and don't have as much of a small audience to work with as this one.
I was saying, I think he's eventually going to release it on YouTube. I say wait for that.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're interested in the community and stuff like that. I mean, he started off a community of channels, like you were saying before. I mean, like, I guess me as a YouTuber, I felt like I need to see it.
I felt professionally obligated to watch this movie.
Yeah, it's like, okay, let's see what it's about.
Not.
We dragged him into it.
Yeah.
We dragged him.
As someone who's not professionally obligated to watch this movie, I did not enjoy myself very much the first time around. It was better the second time, but
for $5, I guess I got my kicks out of it. I'm coming into it from a perspective of someone who's seen every AVGN, but only not because it's necessarily for me. In many ways, I feel that this shtick of internet review is outmoded nowadays for several reasons, and that makes it feel anachronistic. But if you literally have nothing better to do, and you should have something better to do for $5, then
I say watch it with friends.
Yeah, with friends makes it better. Makes it
yes,
better.
it does.
Yeah.
If you're just having a good time,
you argue about it a lot.
Yeah, you don't. That was funny. I thought that was garbage.
That's what we were like. It was a good night, though.
Yeah,
it was a good night.
As always, we watch.
Cheers to that. Okay.
Cool.
All right. In moments is fair. I got it.
Yeah.
We're done.
Did you want to talk about anything?
Are we ready? This might take a few more tries than I initially thought it would.
Take two.
It's fine. Just keep.
Okay.